All right, so today we're jumping into a really fascinating psychological showdown. This is a high-stakes story where the most powerful weapon isn't a gun, but a well-told story. It's a true clash of wits, and we're going to break it all down.
So let's start with this question, right? What's really more powerful? Because at its heart, this whole story is about that. We're not looking at some simple act of violence, but at a brilliant piece of intellectual warfare, where one person's creativity goes head-to-head with another's brute force.
Okay, so picture this. An isolated cottage. A playwright named Gerard is just minding his own business when an armed intruder breaks in. But this isn't your typical home invasion. Oh no, this thing quickly turns into a battle for who's controlling the story.
All right, so to really get how this whole thing unfolds, we've got to get inside the head of our villain first. We need to break down his plan, which, as you're about to see, was kind of doomed from the get-go.
And here's the thing you have to understand. This intruder, he's not some kind of criminal genius. Not at all. The source material calls him a hunted rat. And that's perfect because he's on the run after killing a cop. That desperation makes him dangerous, for sure, but also really vulnerable and easy to manipulate.
So, what's a guy like this after? Well, his own words totally give him away. He looks at Gerard's life, the car, the house, and calls it a dandy bus to freedom. He just wants the look, the costume of a fancy life with zero clue about the person actually living it. Now, if you just glance at his plan, it seems, okay, maybe kind of smart. He picks a target who seems like a loner, he studies his habits, even mimics his voice. And the last step? Simple. Kill him, take his place. But, and this is the key, his entire focus is just on the surface-level stuff.
And this right here, this is where it all falls apart for him. It shows his massive miscalculation perfectly. He saw a guy by himself, in a remote house, packing a bag. What he didn't see was the reality, a brilliant playwright whose house was about to become a stage, packing that bag with props for a play. He saw the outside, but he completely, totally missed what was on the inside.
Okay, so that's the villain script. Now let's flip it and look at the counterplot. Let's talk about our protagonist, Gerard. Because while the intruder sees a victim, what he's actually found is the director of this whole twisted show. I mean, just look at the two of them side by side. You've got Gerard, who's naturally smart, he can improvise, and his big advantage, he gets people. He understands psychology. Then you've got the intruder. He's just faking the posh stuff, his thinking is super rigid, and his only real card to play is that gun. It's the classic brains versus brawn showdown, isn't it?
And this is where Gerard really starts to cook. His number one weapon being nonchalant. He just acts calm, almost bored. And that's not weakness. It's a performance. It's a calculated choice to throw the intruder completely off balance. The guy expects panic, but what he gets is, meh.
So that performance, that calm exterior, it sets the stage for the big twist. See, Gerard doesn't just play along with the intruder's story. Nope. He rips that script to shreds and starts writing a brand new one, right there, on the spot, with his life on the line.
And here it is. This is the moment of pure genius. Gerard has this incredible insight into the intruder's mind. He realizes this guy is so jaded, so crooked, he just assumes everyone else in the world is a criminal too. So what does Gerard do? He decides to give this guy the exact story he wants to believe.
And just watch how he does it. It's masterful. He takes every single real thing around him and turns it into a prop for his new story. The fact he's a playwright, forget that. Now he's a murderer who's set it with bullets. That bag of props? Nope, that's his escape kit. And the phone call he's waiting for? That's not business. That's a signal from his lookout. He's not just telling a lie, he's building an entire world for this guy.
But this is the masterstroke, the absolute best part. He uses his actual props, false mustaches, disguises, the tools of his trade, as proof that he's a criminal. The very things that define him as a playwright are now the evidence that he's a dangerous fugitive. The irony is just beautiful. It completely flips the power dynamic on its head.
All right, so the stage is set. His audience of one is completely hooked. All that's left now is for our playwright-turned-director to bring this little play to its explosive finale.
So how does he spring the trap? It's all about timing. The phone rings, boom, perfect sound cue. Gerard immediately sells it as the signal from his lookout. He creates this insane sense of urgency, yelling that the cops are coming, they're outside.
And then he offers the desperate intruder a lucky break, a quick escape route through what he says is the garage door. And then he just shoves him right into a dark cupboard.
And why does it work? Speed. Pure manufactured panic. Gerard doesn't give the intruder a single second to think, to question anything. He plays on the guy's muddled head, on his desperation to get away. The intruder is so deep inside Gerard's story by this point, he doesn't even see the trap.
Okay, so with the bad guy locked in a closet, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the big lesson here. Because this wasn't just about being clever, this was about the raw power of controlling the narrative.
You know, there's this one line from the source material that just nails it. It says it all. The intruder studied Gerard's voice, while Gerard studied the intruder's psychology. Think about that. One guy was focused on the surface, the voice, the clothes. The other was digging deep into the mind, the fears, the motivations. And that right there is why he won.
So what was in his arsenal? Not a gun. His weapons were theatrical irony, using his real job as a weapon. A healthy dose of melodrama to make fun of the intruder's whole tough guy act. The way he used his voice, his inflection, and of course, that incredible performance of just being nonchalant. It was a mental toolkit, and it was way, way more powerful than a revolver.
So, at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway? It's that creative intelligence is a kind of superpower. It really is. It gives you the power to read a room, understand who you're dealing with, and then literally write a new reality that serves your purpose. Whoever controls the story controls the outcome.
And that brings us to one last question, something for you to think about. In your own life, in the situations you're in, are you the playwright? Are you the one writing the script? Or are you just reading lines someone else handed you? It's a really powerful thing to ask yourself. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown.